go live. 2 minutes. There we are. All right, let's just wait for some people to roll in. If anyone does, Brad, hit on where it is with faster performance. Well, we'll wait and see. Right, let's hop on over. So this is going to be, I don't know how long I'm going to be on for. Sounds a bit echoey, doesn't it? Never mind. Bigger things to worry about. Let's hop on over to... No, I don't want that. Hey, do you like my transitions, mate? Boom. Would you like that? Right, let's get Invented. I haven't even got it installed yet. Let's go along for the ride. So it's just going to be a chill stream. Bit of tunes in the background. Let's get 2023 installed. Right, so we've got release candidate. I have it on good authority. Release candidate 1 is good. It's not RTM, but it should be good enough. So let's get this installed and we'll see what GPU ray tracing is all about. Let's have a little play around with it. I've had a bit of a tinker. But, you know, it's such a big thing. It's such a change. We'll see what it's all about. Let's get... And it should install pretty quickly, like. Don't know if anyone else has got this in their subs box yet. Yeah, I've been checking... all day in 2023 is not yet in my subs box. I'm not sure what the exact date is yet. I know AutoCAD 2023's been released. AutoCAD Plant 3D is released. Mechanical 2023 is released. Electrical's released. Haven't seen anything else yet though. Not sure what the exact date is. So the embargo's lifted on it so it can show it. Anyone who's got like an installer for it can show it. So obviously all the What's New videos have been going up from resellers and whatnot. But not sure what the exact date is. And Brad, you've got it already. Check out Brad. Oh God, you've got to love NVMe drives, man. How long did that used to take back on mechanical drives and even on just SATA drives? That extraction. This laptop's got dual NVMe drives and RAID 0, and it just flies. Love it. Right, so we'll just stick this at 0. At 0? Wow. If I talk like I'm just mumble jumbling, it's like nearly midnight here, so brains just turn into mush. Right, default installation. Why not? All right. Do I need any of this? Do I need the electrical catalog browser? No. Don't need that. Not going to be doing diddly with that. TrueView. You know, I've never understood what Inventor actually needs of DWG TrueView. Speed, documentation, and explore 3D Really? Speed, documentation, and explore... What does that even mean? Speed, documentation, and explore 3D... What does speed documentation mean? What does that even mean? With the powerful connected design tools of AutoCAD software. I mean, sure. Why not? Content libraries. Yeah, go on. Do I... what am I doing? GPU ray tracing. I mean, I don't need them for GPU ray tracing. Oh, just do it. It's out for education. Oh, is it? Oh, no, good. I mean, I suppose that's good. Yeah, it's not a mass subs box. Yeah, if it's out for education, that's good. That gives people a chance to get it early enough. Made a TikTok whilst installing it. How does that work? How do you make a TikTok out of software it's installing? Good luck getting that going viral, mate. Is it worth rushing to installing 2023? Well, it depends what you're coming off. Depends what you're coming off. I don't know. I mean, personally, me, I like to stay current. It's a big question that, like, if you're in a small business or if you buy yourself, it's just you, and you're paying for it. Just do it. You know what I mean? If you're paying for it out of your own pocket and it's your own cash, I would always say upgrade, because you know you're taking the hit. You'll feel that yearly subscription. You know, it's a massive outgoing that you're paying for. So I would say always go for it. But in a business, if you're like a business of over, I don't know, say 20 people, 20 engineers, then migrating an Autodesk platform's not that easy of a job. So you do have to look at what kind of benefits you're going to get, because that's 20 people that you have to take offline and migrate up and then possibly even train. So you do have to look at the benefits. So like my old place, at one point we had like 150 engineers. So we couldn't go up to the new version every year. We kind of did it every 2 years, sometimes every 3 years, because it was such a big job going up a version. So you had to kind of look at what was in the new version, and not just Inventor, but Vault as well. And it was like, what's in that? What's in it for us to do the migration? Is it worth? It's not even like, is it worth the downtime? It's like, is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk of the migration? Because you just don't know what's waiting around the corner when you go through a migration. You'd like to hope it goes smoothly and you do your tests, you do your prep, you do your planning. But there's always that risk. There's always that risk when you do a migration that, you know, that Vault server could throw a wobbler. Or, I don't know, you get a few clients that just don't want to install, and then you spend a half a day on just one client trying to get Inventor off or Inventor on, or AutoCAD's knackered or something. So, I don't know. There is quite a lot in 2023 though, but a lot of it is, it's like, it's those small tweaks that, the funny thing is, like 10 years ago, Inventor was going through the rapid development that Fusion's going through now, where Inventor was getting like big modules. Like 10 years ago, Inventor was getting like, you know, well, Inventor Studio, massive plugins. It was getting dynamic simulation. It was longer than 10 years ago now, but it was getting those big modules. Dynamic sim. It was getting like the loft command was getting put in. It was getting, you know, the huge tubing and piping overhauls, that kind of thing. You just don't get that now. What you're getting is like little tweaks to existing stuff, like bill of materials tweaks, and it's all the stuff that they get fed back to them at conferences. So like round table events where like somebody goes, wouldn't it be nice if we could, why doesn't Inventor have the option of having a zero quantity in this? And it would be really good if when I opened up a dialog box in the tubing and pipe and routing area that it remembered my settings. Every time I closed it down, it resets my settings. It would be really good. We want this fixed immediately. It's all that kind of stuff, which people complain about because they're not like big, huge features. But then at the same time, if they didn't fix those, people would still complain that they're not fixing them. So they kind of win either way. But it's a release kind of full of that sort of stuff, with the addition of GPU ray tracing, of course. Hey, Sir Mid. Right, we're done. Restart your computer. Bore off. What do you need to restart for, man? You've just installed a CAD programming. Restart. Nonsense. Nonsense, poopy pants. Read. with any luck, I should just be able to... Should we do an InvMark run? Let's just get it started, make sure it works. Hey, light theme. Oh, come on. Defaulted a dark theme, damn it. Does anyone migrate the custom settings? I mean, who has custom settings in Inventor? Interface, customization, application options, command. I mean, I used to have some application options which were custom, but they never migrated through properly. Never saw them migrate through effectively. Command settings. I mean, who customized? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't. Nonsense. Right, anyway, let's get... First thing I always do. Always dark mode. Immediately. This light theme is just offensive to my eye holes. And then enhanced highlighting off, because that's also offensive to my eye holes. Then... quality mode. Right, so you've got to... If you want to turn on GPU ray tracing, you've got to tick this box here. That turns that on. Because it's pre-release. Bring back... Do you know what I say? Bring back the days when the software had to be finished on floppy disks and CDs for release day. That's what I say. None of this pre-release bloody nonsense. Right, so you got to do that. What else we got to do? What do I do? Yeah, so because I'm in the UK, I have to go into here, and then I do millimeters, and then I do ISO, and then what else do I do? Undo file. Usually double that to a 4.8. Just looking to see if there's any other settings in here that might be new. Hardware. No prompts. Wow. Okay. Wow. So I'm using this is 4K, so the dialogue might be a bit jumbled. You know what Autodesk are like with 4K. It's still new. Right. Nothing in there that I changed. Content center. Leave that as it is. Express mode. High features. Part. Nope. Right. That's cool. So the home screen's new. That's all new. And this is... I've had a little tinker with it during beta. A beta. I don't know which one it is. I lost track. Watched Americans so much. Don't know whether it's beta or beta. Let's just call it beta. But yeah, I've had a little tinker with it. And this is going to take some getting used to, because my first sort of go-to is like, where's the projects button? It's gone. And you're like, where's projects? It's like, I don't know where it is. But you've got to go into here, and then settings, and then there's projects. That's a bit of a regression, that like. It's like click, and then browse, where it was less clicks before, but it's a cleaner home screen, I suppose. But yeah, the projects area is a little bit more fumbly. Can you get to it through file? No. Manage? I think manage project, but then still, I'd still rather not have to go to that. That's already fumbly. So there's your list of projects, but you can't get to like the projects dialog box through that. You've got to click that little 3 dotty button and then go to there. Zoltan, no ray tracers yet. I've just installed it. I'm just going through the setup. I think I might do an InvMark run first, just to see what the performance is like on 2023. So let's fire up 2022 first. Because Autodesk have promised, I think they've promised some performance tweaks across 2023. I think that's what Luke said in his What's New video. Autodesk Inventor promises assembly productivity performances enhancements across blah 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 blah. I think that was the patter. But we shall see. So this is Inventor 2022. We'll do a run on 2022. This laptop ran 54,000, I think, at its peak. That was like a fresh Windows build. There's no chance it's going to hit 54,000 now. Like it's just full of everything. It's got like Bitdefender on it. It's got all kinds of crap on it. So it's not going to hit 54,000 now, and it's running in 4K. It's probably going to land around 51, I'd suspect. So it's the Precision 7760, 17-inch 11th gen Xeon 11955M, 64 gigs of RAM, Quadro RTX A5000. Let's go. So this will be the benchmark run for 2022, and then we'll compare it with, whoa, hang on a minute, let's just make sure there's an exception in Bitdefender before I do it. There should be. I hate Bitdefender. I don't know why I insist on using it. That's Inventor. Yeah, Inventor 2022 is there. Did I put one in for 2023? Not yet. I have an exception. There he is. Right, and then just boom, 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 boom. Right. Accepted. Go. Now let's see what that comes out as. Set command prompt near cursor. Command prompt near cursor. Is that when... What setting is that? Is that when you type? No, it's not. I don't know what setting that is. Runs InvMark, stops the live mid-run. I have 2 PCs, Brad. I've leveled up. This stream's on a different PC now. I've got capture cards now and stuff like that. I get some things right. Still can't get the audio right. I can hear like a crackle and a hiss and an echo on the mic. There's just... I've given up trying to get audio right on this goddamn channel. It's never going to happen. But when the ray tracing kicks in, it shouldn't drop the stream down because, yeah, it's being streamed off of another PC. Kaspersky. Yeah. I don't even know why I pay for Bitdefender. I was going to jack it in, but then they were like, don't jack us in. We'll give you 2 years for the price of 1. At like some discounted ridiculous rate. It was something like 20 quid for like 2 years of Bitdefender. I was like, oh, go on then. Pretty sure I don't need it. Brian, will I be doing testing between desktop levels like the RTX 3060, 7080? No, I wish I had a bloody 3080 and a 3090, mate. I would if I did. RTX A345. So I've got an RTX A4 and an A5000. So I could do GPU testing between different RTX, the professional cards, but it depends. It depends how useful it's going to be. We'll wait and see when we get to the GPU environment. Like, I don't know how much you've seen of it yet, if you've watched any of the videos of the GPU ray tracing yet, but put it this way, there's no InvMark benchmark test for GPU ray tracing yet, and there's a reason for that. Oh, the audio sounds fine. Thank you. That makes a change. But yeah, there's no benchmark test for ray tracing on InvMark yet. Autodesk advised me not to, though like it's probably not a good idea. A6000. Christ. Probably not long before the next ones come out. Halfway down the left side, first tab of program settings actually lets people read the command prompts. They on the lower left corner. Yeah, that's... I didn't know that setting was there, to be honest. That does sound useful. Yeah, Inventor's command line has diminished usefulness because it is just pretty much invisible. I remember when I was doing Inventor training courses, I never, ever pointed people towards Inventor's prompt at the bottom because it was just so small and meaningless, and it was just so out the way. It's just like, just don't look at it. You don't... To be fair, like, most people didn't need to look at it because it would help if you memorized what Inventor was needing from you next. So if you were actioning a sketch, and the next action from you was to click a plane or something, I felt like it was more useful for the person to know what they would expect it to do next rather than to have to read what to do next. But I guess if you don't have a tutor, then yeah, I suppose the command line is probably helpful. Benchmark on the 3090 Ti. I mean, 3090 Ti's over here, mate. No chance. I'll not be getting one of them. It's very unlikely I'll be getting one of them sent. Only the Autodesk marketing. GP rendering is only in viewport, not into Inventor Studio environment yet. Correct? Yeah. And the GP ray tracing is only viewport based. It's not Inventor Studio. I've had a bit of a tinker with it. It is just a viewport based. It's still based. There's no animation. But I just want to have a bit of a play with it once we get through InvMark. I just want to test what 2023 comes out as on this laptop, because this laptop's the highest. This one I'm on now is the highest performing laptop on the entire leaderboard. So I just want to see what this comes out as. But yeah, I've had a tinker with it. There's a lot they need to improve on, and I'm kind of hesitant to go. I'm hesitant to go down the, it's a start, right? It's better than nothing. Because is it though? Is it okay to be like, it's a start, it's better than nothing? When did that become okay to just get something in an application at this level and it not be finished and just sort of accept that? I know it's a lot of work, I know it's difficult, and I know a lot of clever people worked on it, and it's a lot more difficult than it looks. But I'm just not a fan of stuff going into software when it's not finished. Never have been. And personally, I'd prefer to wait until it's finished before it goes in. But as long as, if it works, it works. If it's, as long as it's not buggy and it doesn't crash, which as far as I know it doesn't, then, it is what it is. Is there any performance difference between the game-ready drivers and the studio drivers? Was it you that wrote a comment on a video asking that? I read someone... If it wasn't you, then that's multiple people asking that. Don't think so. For a while, I was using studio drivers on my system, and there was no noticeable difference at all with the studio drivers. Not for Inventor anyway. I don't see why there would be. But no, there wasn't for Inventor. And Kush, yes, we're looking at the new. Well, this one isn't. We're doing we're doing a test run. Oh, here we go. We're doing a test run of InvMark on 2022. Then we're going to 48. What? What gives? What gives with 48? Like, this must be well bogged down. If I got like a bogged down power profile on here or something. Best performance. Okay. Well, this is well and truly bogged down. This one. Let's upload this to the. Oh, no, I'm not going to upload that to the leaderboard. There's no point. This laptop's hit 54 before. Oh, well, never mind. It is what it is. 48. Tell you what, I'll go to the temp directory and save that log. What gives? 13,841 on single threaded. Yeah, on the leaderboard that was 16,000. Okay. Right, well, let's run InvMark on 2023 and hope it works. I have tested InvMark on 2023. To be honest, is not that much different in the core stuff that I test on InvMark, so it should work. I've put all the templates in. Kadak should be publishing the build of InvMark to the website soon. $48,000. No, I don't want to be there. I want to be here. Right. Laptops. Okay, I'm not the highest performing one anymore. Not 56,000, it was 53,900, that one there. And that's just run a 48. So I don't know what's happening with that. Never mind. Right, let's go 2023. We'll compare the logs side by side to see if there's any gains in any point areas. Any experiences working with Siemens NX? No. Nope, nothing with Siemens NX, I'm afraid. And that's not because I don't want to. It's the same story as I've got with SolidWorks. It's just a case of I don't have a license for it. I mean, I could probably download it. I mean, I don't know. I could maybe download a trial, but then I'd get a limited time and what, 30, it's usually 30 days or something. And there's only so much I can do in 30 days when I'm busy. And then once the 30 days are up, I'm kind of screwed. It'll just stop working. So, you know, I'd put a lot of effort into it to try and get up to a reasonable amount of proficiency in 30 days, but then it's all over. So no, it's not for any reasons other than I just don't have a license. Same with SolidWorks, same with the rest of them. Will Inventor 2023 allow real threads like Fusion does? Nah, I doubt it. That's probably... I mean, that's not because they can't. I would imagine it's because Inventor just has bigger data sets, and the type of data sets Inventor has, it's a lot more fastener heavy. So if you picture like a massive bit of machinery that's potentially got like tens of thousands of screws in, the setting would probably have to be all threads on or all threads off, and if you just turned it on, then that would just balk it down. But then, why not give someone the option, right? If you don't have an assembly with like 10,000 fasteners in and you've only got 10 in, then why not give the option? But then if you put the option in and someone does have 10,000 and then Inventor suddenly bogs down and crashes, then you've got a bad story and a lot of people complaining. So maybe that's why they've done it. Don't know. But yeah, to my knowledge, Cool Orange is still the only one that offers an add-in that'll do it. Yeah, if 99% of your parts are threaded, then yeah, it's still Cool Orange. It's perfect. It's perfectly within their means. I mean, they could easily go to the Fusion team and say, "Oh, can you give us that code and we'll put it into Inventor." But it'll be an intentional choice that they've made. No self. It won't be. The capture's done on another PC. It's basically there's an HDMI cable going from this laptop to a capture card. So there's no processing for capture done on this laptop at all. So that's the task manager at the moment. It's just Inventor. And 3D connection kicking off as well. I don't know what that was. Most of my scores that I upload to the leaderboard, they are done like immediately after a fresh build of Windows though. And that's when the system is at its freshest and at its fastest. Then once like OneDrive, Dropbox, Bitdefender, Office, like Creative Cloud Suite goes on and everything starts hitting the laptop and the registry starts filling up, the process list starts filling up. Don't know why, but it does just slow down over time. You'd think it wouldn't, given the amount of RAM these systems have and the fact that you run NVMe drives and stuff like that, but they just seem to never get to keep those fast scores after a couple of months. The only reason you need those real threads is for the product renders. I can't see the Inventor team making a decision to put in like model threads for visualization purposes. Like, can't see them doing that. And I don't think there's any. I can't think of any other reason why they would, because for like tolerances and stuff for threads, that's all programmed into the part, so you don't need to see the physical modeled thread size for the space and where it sort of where the space the thread takes up. But then if you export it out of Inventor and you need those modeled threads in another package, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where the Inventor team are like, kind of not our problem. I don't know. Any thoughts on Lenovo's P17 Gen 2? Same specs as your 7760. Yeah, wait until it's not 11th gen. Like 11th. So this 7760 is 11th gen, and it's great laptop, but it's about to be superseded. So I would say wait if you can. If you urgently need a laptop, then these are absolutely amazing laptops. This one is phenomenal. It's top of the leaderboard, or at least it was until all the other stuff started to come out. So I would imagine most of the stuff above me will be 12th gen stuff, yeah. So there's your 12th gen Alder Lake laptops hitting the leaderboard. That's surprising, that one, like. That's 11th gen i7 getting 54,500. That's an impressive score, that like. That is a mega score. 7560, that's the 15-inch Dell Precision. Fair play, man. Single core 16385. Good score that like. 49233. Right, so it's nothing to shout. It's nothing to shout about. Nothing to write home about that like. So we've gone from 48,000 to 49,000. All right, let's look at the score side by side. So that's... Just going to zoom in on this. Hey. Don't know whether you're going to be able to see that with my mugs in the way. Let's zoom it up, scroll it up a little bit. Right, so final score InvMark, multi-threaded score, borderline the same. Single-threaded scores increased a little bit. Modeling score 15 to 15. That's pretty much the same. The drawing score 30, that's the same. FEA 11, that's the same. Dynamic Sim 9, that's the same. Assembly 18 to 18, that's the same. I mean, it's all pretty much the same, isn't it? Graphics 1574. Graphics has gone down. That's curious. Ray tracing 1540. Ray tracing is the same. File open 1856. Well, okay. File open has jumped dramatically. So opening file. They've made some optimizations with opening files. Data translation 1320. Wow. Data. Okay. Opening step files is. I'm pretty sure I read something in their marketing material for 2023 that said they'd made opening step files quicker. Don't think so. Data translation, which is this data translation. In fact, import step file took 37 seconds. Import step file took 38. So it literally takes a second and a half longer to open the step file in 2023. Save to disk 1298. Save to disk slightly better. Assembly pattern the same. Assembly play 1844. So assembly. Okay, the constraint. No, that's assembly place. Assembly place score. Not sure what that score is. But okay. So I think the biggest takeaway there is that opening files is a bit quicker. Other than that, very, very marginal changes, very minor, and then data translation. So yeah, I think 2023 in terms of performance, I wouldn't upgrade for performance. There's nothing to shout about on that. Right. Let's look at some ray tracing. Paste the logs into each window to see the highlighted changes between logs. I don't know what I just did. Paste the logs in each window to see the highlighted changes between logs. Oh, right, I see what you mean. Okay, hang on a minute. You got the point. I'll do a separate follow-up on that. Right, let's look at some ray tracing. That's what we're here for. Okie dokie. Right, what file should we look at? Well, we'll start with the FEA, not the FEA part, the we'll look at the part that InvMark uses for ray tracing, which will be... Is it in the previously open list? Nope. Right. Projects, InvMark. Ray tracing. Right, so ray tracing on the GPU. So this laptop's got the Quadro A5000 mobile. Is it on? It is, right. GPU ray tracing. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it is GPU ray tracing is pretty much limited to the viewport. Let's just turn it on. Let's just see what happens right off the bat. Setup takes a while. Scene setup. And you've got your progress bar at the bottom, so that's the same as the CPU ray tracing. Noise reduction, low, draft, and high. Doesn't appear to be. I think this is one of the unfinished aspects of it. It would jump in between low and high. There's, I'd say, borderline absolutely no difference between low and high. Whether it actually just does more passes of ray tracing with high or not, but like, there's barely any difference between those two settings. Looking at noise reduction. That's not actually too bad for noise reduction. One thing I've noticed, it doesn't support decals. It's just, the decals have gone. So if I turn that off, go back over to the CPU ray tracer. I'm pretty sure that obviously that did support decals. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Wow, that looks dramatically different, doesn't it? Yeah, there's the decal in the center of the wheel there. Yeah, are we going to crash? No, that was a crash. Nope, we're good. Right, let's go to high. That's weird. That I can't put my finger on what feels different about that, but the scene feels like it's got a different, either a color temperature to it. I don't know what it is. Tell you what, let's do it. Screen. Can I do a screen print of this to? Wow, laptop absolutely loses its mind when it's doing ray tracing. Right, let's do this now. Right, that's better. Right, let's disable that. And then let's go back into application options, back into GPU ray tracing. Let's set it off again. It's much darker. The background's darker. The materials are a totally different color. I mean, I know the GPU ray traces, it treats materials differently. It does a conversion on the materials. So it uses physical based materials, and the legacy materials it tries to do some kind of conversion to make them support the GPU ray, because it is a completely different engine. But there's got to be some kind of attempt at parity between the two engines. That's staggering how much better the CPU ray tracer looks, though. Like, I'm sorry, but like, where's the reflection on the wheel on the GPU? The reflection's almost gone. It's like oversaturated. That looks pretty bad, that like. It's not, and we're on high there as well. That doesn't look great, that like. Toggle the noise setting. I mean, turning noise reduction on, all that's really going to do is just remove detail from... That's just going to remove detail. It'll make the render happen quicker, but it's not going to do anything for... I mean, the reflections, you've now lost even more of the reflections. But it's not going to do anything for brightness. And I mean, look at that. Just look at the difference. So that's the CPU render. You've got the highlights here from the scene being reflected, and then you've got like the light being reflected on the front face of the wheel, and then you go back to the GPU. That's dreadful, that like. I mean, maybe it's just... It needs different materials added to it. But then this is... I'm pretty sure I use materials from the Autodesk material library. So metallic paint orange would have been from the Autodesk appearance library, which is pretty much all you've got. So I don't know. Yeah, the colors are totally different. Colors are different. Reflections aren't great. Decals aren't supported. The scene itself, like the background, seems to go darker. But I'll tell you what, let's go over... Oop. And my apologies to headphone users. Right, yeah, let's go over to the jet engine. Let's use a different model. We'll go for... Which is the jet engine? Why? Autodesk, man. Come on. 4K. Why are these buttons still... Why are they the size of little pin drops? What's this about, man? Come on. Right, jet engine model. So this one is full of chrome and metals and like hammered metals and stuff. So this one might look a bit better. Don't know. Don't know. So let's go into realistic. Perspective. Which IBL should we go for? Probably turn on the background image. Right. So, which one? Do you know what would be nice? It would be nice if there was, instead of the setting being tucked away here, I think it kind of needs to be in here somewhere. Because, like, just turning on ray tracing, like, you don't know immediately which one you've got turned on. That would be useful. Right, so we've got some brushed aluminium. Wow, what have I done here with this bloody paint? But orange peel's a bit balked. Right, let's turn on ray tracing. So this is GPU ray tracing on lots of chrome and aluminium and shinies. Why is there a lot of text along the bottom of my screen? That was... What? Where's the ground shadow? Where's the ground shadow? Oh, was this... Can't remember whether it was the Inventor... I'm getting mixed up between this and Pro Render. AMD's Pro Render, Radeon Pro Render. One of them didn't support ground shadows. It must be this one. Oh, mate, you've got to have ground shadows in. Come on. You just got a floaty object in space, man. What? So the wheels, they had a ground shadow because for the InvMark ray tracing test, I physically modeled a floor. Whereas this floor is, it's the X, no, it's not the XY plane, it's the, wasn't there actually a plane underneath it? Well, where's the casting its ground shadow on you? What's that there then? That's just the ground plane. That's the visualization ground plane. I don't think it needs to have an actual work, so we'll put a work plane underneath it. I need to be hooked onto something here. Is there anything to hook it onto? Let's just do that. And then, so we'll hook it through that, angled to that. Oh, I'm going to have to flip that on it. That's the reverse of it. Flip, 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 flip. Flippity flip, where's flip? How'd you flip a bloody... God damn it. Where's flip? Can you... That's the positive side, that's the negative side. Why can't I flip this goddamn workplane? And why can't I... Oh, Inventor's so infuriating sometimes. Feature... Can you just not flip assembly? It don't matter. It doesn't matter. Right, let's see if I can ground plane onto this. Nope, still not anyway. It doesn't matter. Still not going to accept it. Alright, so it obviously doesn't support ground shadows unless you physically model something, which is a bit disappointing. Another thing you can't do, you've got no control over lighting. There's no local lighting. So you notice this area on the front of the engine here is pitch black. Well, you can't... Like, there's no ability to create light sources. Which is kind of essential for rendering. So that's a bit of a bummer. So I think you'd have to tinker with all of these IBLs until you find something that potentially lit up the front. But then... as you're doing that, you're kind of changing... Each one of these IBLs changes the entire feel of the whole product. Like, that's just changed the color temperature, the way that the whole product looks. So it's lit up the front end of it a little bit, but now, you know, it's just changed the whole feel. And then you can go for maybe, I don't know, the salt... Where's the salt plains one? The desert. It's called Desert Dry Salt Bed. So this one would be quite bright, but then you'll end up with a... Wow, okay. Now you've got weird blue sky reflections on. Sure, the front end's lit up, but now you've got this blue sky reflection on it. So, tell you what we'll do. We'll do a comparison between this one, GPU and CPU. Which one of these shall we use? Stuttgart Courtyard. That's a bit dim. Let's go back to photo booth. Right, we'll do that one. Great. So let's fill this. Wait for it to render a little bit. Then we'll do a print screen. And then we'll compare this with the CPU. Oh, what's all this spam coming in? Online strips. Oh, God's sake. Bore off. Just create the ground plane. Yeah, virtual ground. Yeah. I think it's Inventor's GPU engine. I vaguely remember speaking with somebody on the dev team about it not supporting ground shadows, and I think it was Inventor's one. But it was all happening at the time that the Radeon Pro Render stuff was releasing. It was a long time ago. Is this something that will add in the near future? No, mate. This is coming in now. This is GPU ray tracing in Inventor 2023. So this will be hitting your subs boxes any day now. It's just kind of not really. It's not really finished yet. See you later, Brian. And see you later, Sermid. Have you found a way to rotate the environment? Bringing in your own environments would be a good start. That's still another thing. Like, there's so much of like the fundamentals of rendering that just aren't possible here. And I'm not hesitant to complain. Like, if you're going to bring in a GPU ray tracer, you kind of have to go all in. I'm afraid you've got to. And not having local lighting is a bit... it's a bit of a stinker. Not being able to render decals is a bit of a stinker. And not being able to bring in your own backgrounds, your own HDRI scenes is also... It's like... And also, like, the settings as well, like, for ray tracing quality, all you've got is, like, low, medium, and high. That's not enough either for quality control on ray tracing. You need to be able to control... like trace depth and how many bounces there is through ray tracing and IBL sampling and all that kind of stuff, and occlusion density, and there's so many settings that apply to a render. And when you're bringing in GPU ray tracing and you're kind of going that far in, I think that level of detail has to sort of be leveraged in. But I don't know. Maybe they will one day. But at the moment, all we've got really is the same as what we had with CPU ray tracing, and they've just ported it across the GPU. Right, so there's the GPU. I mean, that doesn't look great, does it? It doesn't look great, and I'm kind of struggling to figure out how you would make it look great, because you just can't really bring in your own backgrounds. You can't... You'd have to model a floor, put a floor on it. It's all about, like, the lighting. That's what render's all about, lighting. It's the same with, like, photography. It's all about the lighting, and if you've got no control over lighting, you kind of... you're kind of fucked. Right, anyway, let's change this over to CPU. Let's disable that. Of course, this is where we'll get ground shadows, I think, with CPU ray tracing. Yeah. Right. So immediately with ground shadows, it's going to look immediately better. That just looks exponentially better. So I was like, there's just there's no comparison. I mean, the orange peel on the front of the nose cone is looks a bit gash, but yeah, come on, man, chop chop. All cores are at 100% right now. It's absolutely caning it. But that's the GPU. If it gets to minimize this snipping tool, you'll be able to see the CPU. Yeah, look at that, man. Nah, so I don't know. I think what I would say like is, I mean, you can see the timer. We're like 80 seconds in, and we're only like the notch on the bar at the bottom hasn't even moved. So, but then the quality of there's barely any grain in that at all. I mean, there is in the shadows, but you could probably pause that, export that out to an image, and use that for like a client update. Like, here's your product. This is where we're at with it, and they wouldn't complain about the quality of that actual model, even though the bar's only like down here. Do you know what I mean? If you look at the yellow bar at the bottom. So I think for like at the moment for GPU ray tracing, I don't think it's good enough really for any kind of final catalog or website renders or boardroom presentations. I'd struggle to kind of put it in at that level. Who's this absolute twat in the chat spamming all this shit? Get an angle view close to the pistons. Right. And where's the floor at? You lose your bloody perspective of where things are when you... Throwing in a generic ray traces on form with the effort of putting into changing the icons. I've still got I've got no doubt they've put a lot of effort into this. Like, I just don't like it when it's just half a job, and that's what this is half a job. But I don't want to diminish the work they've done or like devalue what they've done or like underplay how much effort there was involved, but it's half a job. The fact it doesn't do decals, like how many renders need to be done in Inventor will have decals on them, like warning labels and company logos. Who wants a render when you can't have your company logo on it? Do you know what I mean? What good's that to anyone? Yeah, the bump maps they're absolutely naff. This model wasn't really... I mean, this is the InvMark orbit, so it didn't really matter. So it didn't matter for the InvMark model. Actually, this is probably a good angle to test because we've got some good reflections down here from the red casing on the hammered metal. So I'll be curious to see what that comes out like with the GPU test. So pause that. So there's CPU. Right, let's go disable that. GAN back out here. Turn this on to GPU. Bang it back on. Let's see how it handles those reflections. Actually, that's not terrible. Up close, that's not terrible. Hmm. Pause this. Right, let's pop on over to the CPU one. I mean, you can see how different it is. Like the reflection on the CPU render is much less prominent. So you can see the material conversions made such a difference to how just reflections interact. Hang on a minute, what the hell's happening here? What's going on here? I have no idea what's happening here. Yeah, this looks... It's hard to tell which one's right and which one... Well, I mean, nothing's right and wrong in the world of rendering, but which one's more true to what it should be. That one's much like a deeper, darker black. That one on the CPUs is sort of light, more plasticky looking black. This... I don't know what material is this. It looks like a sandblasted kind of metal. It's not going to show me the material. Let's disable that. Aluminium cast. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Still, I mean, the renders are quicker to get done, but it does it... There's no right or wrong answer to this. To the question of it, does it matter if the renders are quicker if the end result isn't better? You know what I mean? You're getting something done faster, but does that matter if the end result's like not brilliant? Right, let's have a look. Materials, invent material. I'll tell you what, we need to get the Autodesk material library in. So that means going to the default project. 2023, yep. Yep. Right. So for this cone. That's better. Right, so we've got some proper materials to work with now. So the Autodesk appearance library should be, I mean, that's all Inventor's got really for actual renderable materials. Is that even a word? It's hard to tell what's new in here and what's legacy. It would be nice if they just had one. Just paint. Just paint. Okay. Wow. Really? Funniest looking paint I ever seen. Right. Stainless. Let's see if we can change a couple of the materials up to the appearance library materials. Stainless satin brushed heavy. Sure. Right, so let's go for the hammered one. Polished pyramid knurl. Sure. Right, so this awful orange peeled bump mapped one. Let's change a couple of these. So this is currently just a metallic paint. Let's change this to loop. Hey, what does loop dark red mean? Light red, orange? LED red on. Is that going to emit? Right, shadows. Perspective. Let's leave it in sharp highlights. I feel like I've got to... I feel like this is going to be a perpetual check. Every time I would go to read, I've got to go over here to make sure the setting's on. I feel like I've got to do that check before I enable ray tracing. Do the LEDs emit? Nope. So, nope. LEDs do not emit light in the GPU ray tracing. Actually, those materials don't look too bad. Let's go back to photo booth. Let's turn on the scene image. Change these because these look absolutely ridiculous. Let's put these to, oh, I don't know, glossy purple. Why not? I wish there was a metallic paint. Like the metallic paint that I've got is, I think it's maybe one I've made, or it's from a legacy library, but it came through looking pretty bad. That doesn't look too bad, actually. That looks pretty good. It's just missing ground shadows, which you could model your own ground plane, but then when you model your own ground plane, you see the extents of it, especially in perspective camera. So you'd see the limits of the box that you model. But that looks pretty good, that, like. I'm loving that material. What is that? That's some, oh, hello. It's knurled something. Let's do some kind of weird angle like this and see what it looks like. Doesn't look so good from that angle. Yeah. I mean, maybe. So the first renders that I've done, they were just taking the materials that were already applied and getting Inventor to do some kind of conversion on those materials. So I don't know. I mean, Autodesk could say, well, you know, the materials that you were using were legacy materials. That's why it doesn't look great. But the majority of people who are going to use this will just be using the materials and the textures that are already aside. How many people, realistically, who are going to be doing rendering in Inventor are going to have the time to apply new textures to every single part just for a render? You're not going to do that. You're going to be using whatever you've got already applied. Whatever default stock texture comes bundled with whatever material you've got applied. That's what they'll be using. Because rendering's secondary to the purpose of the material that you're using. So that's just how it is. That doesn't look terrible. Tell you what, let's compare this with CPU though. See how good it looks in CPU. Or not look. Alright. Let it do a few passes and then pause it. Let it do a bit of cleanup in here before I take a screen print. Try to do a comparison with Unreal. What? Compare Inventor to Unreal Engine 5, you're saying? Mate, that's not a comparison. Unreal Engine 5 would wipe the floor with Inventor with rendering. Why is my mouse cursor gone? There he is, he's back. Right, we'll pause this. Let's do the screen print, then do a CPU comparison. I don't hate that actually. But let's see what CPU comes out like. It's a weird one. First impressions is that the GPU ray trace is handling this material better, it's handling the knurled material better, but the CPU ray trace is handling this middle section better. And also it's handling this area better as well. And obviously the ground shadows better. Right, let's do a pause on that. Right. Yeah, so, I don't know. Christ, it's hard to tell. So the CPU ray tracer's got a... I mean, that was a brushed pattern. I mean, that material is brushed. It was stainless steel, heavy brushed or something, wasn't it? And then on the GPU ray tracer, the brush pattern, you can just about see it. Of course, I can't zoom in on this, can I? This is the snipping tool. Huh? I don't bloody know how you zoom in on snipping tool. Shift and zoom, control and zoom, alt and zoom. No, way too much to ask to zoom. Well, come on, what are you doing? This laptop is losing its mind. What's it doing? Ah, mate, come on. Gives me mouse cursor back. Looking at the photos a bit too much to ask. Anyway, right, so I think you can just about see the brush pattern on the front, whereas with the CPU ray tracer, it was much more pronounced. Yeah, it's much more pronounced. The knurled pattern was much better on the GPU ray tracer. I think having this paused is absolutely killing it. I think even though it's paused, it's still like, I think it's still caning the resource. Yeah, that GPU render was much better for the nil pattern. Yeah, I'm gonna have to disable this ray trace because it's caning it. Oh, it didn't pause it. That'll probably be why. I thought I'd paused it. Doyle. Right. Yeah, that's a funny one, that like. But I still think the ground shadow on the CPU ray tracer makes a massive difference. It's just to the overall ambience of the render. But, and then of course with the GPU ray tracer, it is a still image. You've got no animations. You've got no ability to drive constraints. It's a bit of a deal breaker as well. No lighting control. So it's fair to say good render is always a great help to sell a product or communicate an idea. It is. You're correct. Indeed, it is. It's just still secondary to. It's still a secondary function in Inventor. Inventor's primary purpose is the design and, I guess, prototyping of a product. But the rendering is absolutely important. It's absolutely crucial. It depends who's doing it, what they're doing it on. I think putting the GPU ray tracing on Inventor is just something that a lot of people have been asking for quite some time. And as a first pass, you know, it's there. It's a start. But, yeah, there's a long way to go. Another thing that I noticed as well is when you, I mean, let's turn on GPU ray tracing as well. There's another thing to watch out for. Right, turn on ray tracing. When you do an export, it's basically just a screen print of the viewport. So if you've got a part selected, like the middle of the engine, and then you pause this, and then you click save. Let's drop this onto the desktop. So jetengine.bitmap. So there's the image. Let's open that up in Photos. That's what you get. It's basically just a screen print of the viewport. So it's actually done the render export with the edges highlighted that I had selected. That needs to not happen, right? That needs to not happen. The render export needs to be a bit more sophisticated than that. In fact, you've got the triad down the bottom. Oh, come on. No, that's gotta. You can't export catalog, website, sales images with a goddamn triad at the bottom of it, man. What the hell? What's this? I think I'm pretty sure when the CPU ray tracer came out, like for a while, the triad was in that, and I think I bitched about it for a while, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it is," yeah, and then they took it out. They've just done the same thing again. Yeah, that needs to go. It's just, I'm surprised they might as well have just left the view cube in. just leave the view cube in, and the toolbar at the bottom, and the navigation bar. I'll just put the ribbon bar in as well. Why not? Just a screen print of your whole desktop. Vault updates look mint, especially the markup features. Are they in the workgroup version or just the pro? Markups. I would imagine markups will just be in pro because I haven't looked at it yet, but markups sound like something that'll be integrated into change orders. And isn't change orders just a pro thing? I don't know. It's markups sounds like something that they'd want people to, you know, to push into Pro. So I would have thought so. Box check for GPU ray tracing. At the moment, it's a bit of a box check, but having followed the beta program, I've no doubt they're not going to leave it there. They will follow this up and they will progress it. It's not just going to stop here. Like, it will absolutely not just stop here. This is just like day one, get it out. Which, to be clear, I'm not a fan of. I don't agree with that. I still personally would have liked to have seen it hit release in a more finished state. And that's why there's no benchmark for this in InvMark, because it's so unfinished that, you know, I could have spent like 3 months putting a benchmark together. When 2023.1 comes out, this ray tracing engine could be so dramatically different that all tests could be completely invalidated. I would have to redo the complete test again, right? And so Autodesk were like, just don't bother, right? Just wait until we've sort of polished it before you do any kind of testing on InvMark with it. But I've no doubt they will. I've no doubt they'll eventually get it put into Inventor Studio. I mean, they kind of have to. They can't have multiple renderers in a single product. It's confusing. It doesn't make sense to have multiple different renderers in one product. For Max, in Maya, for dedicated renderers, it does, because you're giving people options. But for something like Inventor, it doesn't make sense. So I think they need to get this pushed into Inventor Studio and just sort out Inventor Studio, make that the single point, fix its issues. And I think, honestly, if Inventor Studio could be GPU enabled, it could potentially be quite good, given how much finite control you've got in Inventor Studio. Right, you can drive parameters, you can drive constraints, you can animate, you know, component fades. You've got pretty much a video producer functionality in Inventor Studio. You've got camera control, you can animate cameras, you can animate. I mean, the lighting's pretty shit, but you can create lighting in Inventor Studio. It's not that. It shouldn't be that bad, right? It's got quite a lot of control in it. So I think if they put that into there, and then whilst they're at it, you know, whilst you're in there putting stuff in, just stay there for a few more hours or days or weeks or months and just sort the rest of the shit out, and you've got yourself a decent rendering plugin for Inventor. ECOs are just a pro thing. Yeah, I thought. To be honest, I've never used Vault Workgroup in production. I've only ever used Pro, so I'm not dialed into what's Workgroup specific. I installed Workgroup a couple of weeks ago because I was thinking about doing what's new videos and stuff for Workgroup and stuff. But I saw they had life cycles, the file level life cycles in Workgroup, which made us think, well, surely that would mean that ECOs would need to be in Workgroup. But then, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that they weren't. But it was a nightmare when they had Vault Basic, Collaboration, and Workgroup and Professional. When they had multiple tiers like that was a nightmare. Speaking of exports, these ones are interesting. Fusion exports. Let's get everyone out of Inventor and into Fusion. Now, I've been playing with these. They don't work very well. They don't appear to work very well. I mean, say they don't work very well. I've tried pushing through assemblies into Fusion, and Fusion's not accepting anything assembly based. Single parts, fine. Anything assembly based, it ain't having it. And I've tried Autodesk's own data sets. It ain't having it. The reason I've been doing that is because I needed I wanted to test Fusion's large assembly opening capabilities. So I thought I'll take an Inventor assembly, push it into Fusion, save it, and then it just wouldn't do it. So, but yeah, I don't know what to make of these. I don't know if this is the sort of we give up, just go to Fusion to do what you need to do buttons, or whether this is a genuine attempt at a decent workflow. Right? It's like, you know, the simulation. Yeah, Fusion's better, right? We're not going to compete. Just go. You're never going to get that here. Just bog off over to Fusion and do it there. Or whether it is some kind of genuine workflow integration that they're putting together. You know, the additive manufacture. I mean, Inventor's got its own additive manufacture. It's got its own 3D print module. Why push people over to Fusion with a button? Why not make Inventor's 3D printing area better? So I don't know. I don't really want to kick up the whole Fusion versus Inventor debate again, but I'm not quite sure what to make of these yet. I mean, to be honest, when they do work quite well. If I got Fusion on here. Yeah, I do. It's like a single part. You just go, I want to push this over to Fusion. So you select modeling, continue. Just pick something and then just go upload. Oh, great. To say that, no, it doesn't work. Although, actually, this is an InvMark model. The InvMark models are in a read-only directory, so no, it won't work for this one. Or you might get errors. So it might still port over. Maybe, maybe not. Fusion's gonna open. What OneDrive's doing? Nope. No. No, the InvMark models are in a kind of a locked directory. Let's go to here. Like, say for the Fusion 360 modeling integration, like when would you need to push an Inventor part over to Fusion 360 for modeling? Wait, what would you want to do in Fusion's modeling that you couldn't do with Inventor? I just don't know what the intent is behind that. It'll be there for a reason. I'm sure there is a use case for it, but I'm not sure. The CAD export options. Well, from Inventor. This one's new. I'm not familiar with the format. I think it's GITF. This. Don't know how many people have heard of this. I'd never heard of the it's GL or GITF. I don't know what character that is after the G, but this is an absolutely insane file format, GITF. I'll see if I can give you an example of this, if you've not seen it yet. It just blows Dwiff out of the water. Why is Fusion not opened? I'll say it's not working very well. Unless my Fusion install's buggered. My Fusion install keeps breaking. The splash screen starts, and then it doesn't open. This happens on a regular basis. So if Fusion doesn't open, then it's Fusion at fault, not Inventor. No, it's Inventor at fault. Oh, well. Right. So this GITF format. I don't know what Inventor's beef is. Let's go to GTX 980. Oh, it's been a while since I've opened this thing. This is probably one of the things I did on the last live stream I did. Error occurred. It's probably invented like 2016 or 2017. I modeled this on. Right. GTX 970. I modeled this when the GTX 970 was actually the current generation graphics card. Right. Export to GITF. So GITF apparently is an open source shareable model format, but it stores texture information in the file. I don't know, why have I not heard of this file format yet? It's absolutely mad. Right, so that's exported. So it's not an unreasonably fast or slow export time. So GIT, is it GITF viewer? Yeah, it is. Can't remember which one was a good or a bad one. And then you just drag and drop that into there. And look at that. Mate, look at that. How little hassle was that? Autodesk, sit up and take notice of just how little hassle that was. If that was an Autodesk workflow, how many hoops would you have had to jump through to just get to this point? Jesus Christ, man. This is in a web browser? Madness. I mean, that's a sample file, but look at how good, like how quality the file format can be, and like the amount of detail and texture and fidelities in that. That's madness. Look at that. Absolute crackers, man. I'm pretty sure the file format as well is just I think it's just you can edit the file. It's all open source. Right, let's try it with this jet engine. Bit of a bigger assembly, so export to desktop. GITF. File sizes. Well, let's take a look at the jet engine. The jet engine is 29 meg, and that graphics card was 42 meg. So they're not tiny, but so I'd say bigger than what you'd be able to email, but easily Dropboxable, OneDriveable, quite easy. So if that's 41 meg, like what's the actual data set? I mean, that's a couple of hundred megs worth of data set, so it's not. If you were to have converted this into a DWIF or a 3D PDF, it would obviously be a fraction of 40 meg. But it's storing all the texture information. That's where the size is. I suspect it's the look at, it's got the hammered metal in it, man. It's got the hammered metal in it. What the hell? That's where your file size is going. What on earth is happening? Look at that. It looks better than it does in goddamn Inventor. How is that even possible? What the fuck? You can even add your own HDR. So you could probably go to like, what do they call now? Polyhaven. It used to be HDRI Haven. So you could download your own HDRI. That is mental. Mate, this is in Google Chrome. Google Chrome. This is in a web browser. What's happening? So yeah, that's the new export file format. So that's just export CAD format, and then the GLB or GIT. I don't even know what the difference is between the two of them. No clue. But texture information stored in the viewable, and then you just send that out to somebody. You'd have to probably, if you are sending this out to a client or a whoever, they can't just double click the file and open it. That's when the file format would need a bit of fumbling, and that was ultimately the downfall of DWIF. Right? If that was a DWIF, it's like, well, what do I do with it? Oh, you have to go here. You have to go to this website. You have to. Fortunately, they don't have to download anything, but you still have to tell someone to go to this website and then do X, Y, Z. And they're like, oh, can you not just send me a PDF? I've already got Acrobat Reader. But yeah, that's amazing. That it's absolutely quality. So that was another what's new. I think quite a few of Autodesk's products this year are supporting this file format. I think I read Revit might be supporting this file format for export. Can't remember. So yeah, that was that. USDZ format allows for AR uses with your folder, does it? USDZ. USD, that's Universal Scene Description. I want to say Universal Scene Description. Is that isn't that the Pixar file format? GLB is a VR file type. Well, either way, I'm enjoying what's happening there. I don't know what application uses USD files. I'll have to look that up. AR applications and phones. That sounds like a workflow I'm going to have to investigate, because that is interesting to me. I'll have to find out what like the round trip is for that. So you can export the file, but then where does it go next? Is it just part of... Like, what's the next step in the pipeline? Yeah, Pixar. Check out my link on your phone. I wonder if that file format is the file type that share view functionality is using. No. Share view uses... It's some really bizarre file format. It's a Autodesk proprietary one. I know it's not. It's a .collab, I think it's called. It's a .collab. But anyway. Adventure films, right? Yes, I will. Can you drop us an email, mate? Just go to the business email address, drop us a mail, mate, and let us know who you are, and I'll touch base with you. But right, I'm gonna knock. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, mate. I'm gonna knock it on the head there. But that was the GPU ray tracing for 2023. Just a quick look. I think, in summary, you know, if you've got a high-end GPU, at least you can use it for something. But yeah, it's not the, you know, it's not the wow, we can use our graphics cards that everyone thought it was going to be. I don't think, you know, there was rumors of Inventor getting real-time ray tracing, and that's obviously not happening. I think the quality leaves, you know, much to be desired. And then I think it's very much material dependent, but nobody's, you know, few people are going to have the time to swap out all the textures just to get a good render, when the textures tend to come hand in hand with the materials you're using, and lighting is just not there. You're stuck with the lighting that you get with the scene, and honestly, the scene itself, you can go into the settings of the scene and you can change these lights, but it has little, if any, effect on the actual render. You know, adding lights and changing the brightness and the position and all that, it just doesn't have any effect on the render at all. So you need to be able to add spotlights, point lights, directional lights, area lights, shine them into areas that you want, change the brightness, change how the cone angles and stuff to be able to really control which areas are emphasized. And that's not being like a proper elitist renderer. It's a case of, look, I've just started a render, and the entire front of the product is pitch black. I need the customer to be able to see the front of the product. The only way you can do that is to shine a bloody light into it. That's why I need to create a light. It's kind of as simple as that. So, yeah, animations. People are ultimately going to start demanding that once this hits the shelves. Why, you know, I need to be able to see things moving. You're not going to be able to do that. That's going to have to happen pretty quickly. That's a fundamental for a mechanical design package, animating things. Decals. Reflections are a bit weak in some areas, but I think overall, you know, it's a start. It's just not, I just don't think it's going to be what everyone kind of hoped it was, but I suspect the first service pack of Inventor, they'll have a lot of big changes to this, and we'll, you know, maybe in 6-7 months it'll be a completely different kettle of fish, but we'll see. All right, that'll do me. 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm done. Thanks very much for coming along. More on 2023 possibly coming. I might do a similar thing for Vault. Checking out the what's new stuff in Vault. I don't know, I'm going to tinker with the rest of Inventor just to see if there's anything else interesting in there, but we shall see. We shall see. If you want to see what else is new, I won't be doing a full what's new video. Like I said at the very start of the stream, which was a whole 2 hours ago, a lot of the what's new in Inventor is just small stuff. It's like little fiddly, just little small tweaks here and there, little, you know, small command changes that they've done, and you know, it doesn't make for a very exciting. Why is this not going back to my main camera? Go back to my main camera. That's better. Yeah, the small tweaks don't make for a very, you know, interesting what's new video. This button here has now got a new tick box. That button there's now got a new tick box. This, you know, you can now change this view. You can now edit this view in this different way where you couldn't do before. It's very incremental stuff over the last version. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing a what's new video. But if you go to YouTube, look up Symmetry UK, for example. They've done a really good and detailed what's new video for Inventor 2023. But quite right. Thanks again for coming along. I'll see you soon. Whatever I'm doing next, don't know. But thanks again. I'm Neil.